Mike Porcaro, behind the mic of your 50,000-watt blowtorch. News Radio 650, KENI.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is 3:03, 28 in Anchorage, 27 in Palmer, 30 in Soldotna, 29 in Homer, minus 24 in Nome, and 75 down in beautiful Auckland, New Zealand. And speaking of New Zealand, we have an old friend who's on the line with us. He is the founder of the Missile Defense Advocacy Alliance, which is a nonpartisan, tax-exempt 501c4 organization. And they are trying to make the world safer by advocating for the development and deployment of missile systems to defend the U.S. and its allies against missile threats. And this gentleman is pretty amazing. This is like a second career. His first career, I think you probably heard of him. His name is Riki Ellison. He's been on the show before. And if you're a professional football fan, you know exactly who he is. And if you are a student of international relations, you also know who he is. Riki, it's a delight to have you back.
It's great. Great to hear you from Alaska. It's awesome.
well, we were looking at your latest newsletter, and there's some exciting. Well, I don't know if they're exciting or not, but things that are certainly concerning happening in the world of missile deployment and development. And I was wondering, maybe you could kind of lead us through some of this. We've got the Iranians who are now saying they can hit U.S. bases in Israel. The North Koreans are saying they can hit the U.S. mainland. You've got China developing hypersonic missiles. And, of course, you always have Russia and now the Ukraine problem. So what do you see with all of this? What can we do?
Well, I think this past month, the first month of the year, has seen probably the most combat use of missiles. And notably, the Houthi through Iran have targeted Abu Dhabi and our Al Dalfa Air Base there. We have successfully intercepted those missiles through a layer of missile defense systems. That is ongoing. That continues from Iran's ballistic missile strike and missile strike at our bases in Iraq a year ago. We've got North Korea now testing, I think, 7 or 9 missiles tests this past month. Mm-hmm. And they're developing short-range capability, middle-range capability, and hypersonics. We're seeing Russia right up on Ukraine. They're using their Islander missiles to intimidate and move in if they go into combat to do that. They're also testing hypersonics. We've got China flexing their muscles and overmatch capabilities towards Taiwan. So this has probably been one of the biggest years of that threat development, both in super cruise and supersonic and subsonic threats. This is where the world's going. It is pretty daunting for us to handle.
So are you confident, without releasing anything that's obviously super classified or secret, are you confident that we are keeping up and maybe even ahead of what's going on?
We're not keeping up. So we are definitely behind the curve in hypersonic capability, and that is, that's not right. We've got to develop not only our offensive stuff, but we have to develop defensive hypersonic, which we have not done yet, and that's huge. We've got overmatch problems, so that they are doing more missiles that are much cheaper to produce and fire than our defensive systems. So we can't do this alone. We've got to integrate with our allies. Our allies have got to share the burden of this, and we've got to increase our percent of what we spend on Department of Defense dollars on the defensive capabilities, because these threats are coming across right there where you're at, over the pole, and into the entire 50 United States.
So is it the administration, Riki, the Congress? I mean, what's the holdup?
I think it's not. I think the president's got to put this in the number one position, but I also think it's within our own military that don't want to spend that money on defensive capabilities. Everybody wants to, just like the game, everybody wants to spend that money on offensive capability and not spend the money and time and effort. So we haven't, we're at probably a 1.75% of the budget. That is ridiculous for what we have to do. And I think it's shifting. I mean, obviously we've declared China and Russia are the number one national security threats, and we're going to have to deal with this problem.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious, and it's true in almost everything you do. A great offense is a great defense, and if we're not protecting ourselves, what good is an offense?
Absolutely. Just thinking on the warning, just getting the warning out in case something happens. I mean, the strikes that Iran did on our bases in Iraq, we were able to get the warning so we could save lives, and that was good enough to prevent anybody from getting killed. I mean, we have to deal with this. We can't just put it under the rug anymore. We can't just rely on mutual assured destruction. They don't rely on that. They're not deterred by that. And we're seeing that. And it's getting pretty stressful when you have one side, Russia pushing on Ukraine, and you've got China watching that to see if we are united as a front, as a Western civilization, to deter that or to punish Russia completely if they do that. Because if we don't, they're going to take Taiwan. Mm-hmm. So these are big dynamics that haven't happened since end of World War II.
Well, it's interesting, Riki, when you look at what happened in Afghanistan, and more reports are coming out that there were people that were drunk, that were hiding, that weren't paying attention. And you look at that, and the world looked at that, and I don't think it's any surprise that you have this adventurism now by the people that want to see our country go down.
Yeah, and I think the worst thing about Afghanistan was our allies, what they saw of us, and how Russia and China tell our allies that, hey, these guys are not going to stay with you. Look what they did in Afghanistan. I will say that we did a remarkable job on our missile defense capabilities when pulling out Afghanistan. We had a CRAM capability that was shooting missiles and rockets down while we were allowing everybody to leave the country. So that was a spectacular effort. That system is not even a program of record, but it saved countless lives on that evacuation.
So what's next for you? You were just in Colorado, and there's a picture of you I'm looking at. It's a very, very a stylish hat you're wearing, I must say.
It was cold. I don't have any hair. I was in front of the NORTHCOM NORAD headquarters right there. And what we're looking at trying to get is over-the-horizon radar capability, which means we can see further than the curvature of the Earth, because most of the threats, or all the threats, are going to be beyond the horizon. So terrestrial radars are not good enough. And we can create a new type of radar. Australia's done this very well, where you can bounce off the atmosphere to see the other side, so you can be aware of cruise missiles coming at you, and have that ability to detect, track, warn, and shoot down. So that's a big effort that the country is looking at doing.
That is, I know our own Senator Sullivan is also pushing for that, and he is a tremendous advocate for the kinds of things that you are. So
I was with Dan in Hawaii.
Okay, good.
Last week when I was in Hawaii with the Indo-PACOM commander. We had dinner at his house, and sure enough, your senator from Alaska was with us at dinner, and he is a true champion of missile defense, no question. He's picked up the pace that Ted Stevens left, and he's really the leader in Congress on missile defense. So it was great to see him engage with the Indo-Pacific commander in supporting that effort to have a defensive capability forward, primary, so we don't have to have much of it in the back in our homeland. So a lot of this strategic movement is that, and all those F-35s you got up there to go over the pole are very important too.
Yeah, we're kind of the point of the spear here, the tip of the spear. I mean, we're going to see a lot of this first.
You don't have any cruise missile defense, ballistic missile defense for your base right there, J-Bear. You have zero. And you don't have anything clear. So you've got the big GBIs in Fort Greely, but you don't have an ability to defend those from cruise, hyper, and supersonic missiles. You know that.
Yes, we got to fix that, like, quick.
Absolutely. I don't know why we're not fixing it. You are. I mean, we've got a lot of bases. I mean, most of our bases don't have it because those assets are over in CENTCOM and EUCOM and Indo-PACOM. But that's if you got 100 F-35s up there, you better be able to protect. It's a lot of money. Those are going to be targeted. So
absolutely,
we should definitely get capability up there to defend that base and the radar and the GBIs that protect the rest of the United States.
Well, let us know, Ricky, how we can help if we can, because I'm absolutely
tell Dan Sullivan right now, Lisa. I mean, you got to have some defenses. How come Guam's getting it? How come they're in territory? Where's our missile defense?
Well, you can count on it. I'll talk to
Where
him.
is it?
I'll talk to him for sure. Hey, before I let you go, I understand you played a little football in your life, and I have a question.
Little linebacker.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I don't know how many people realize you were all
I
pro.
Can't handle. I played for the 49ers. I just can't handle root for the rival Rams. They're the most talented team.
I know. So you think? Do you think the Bengals have a chance at all?
Well, they got a chance. They're like the 49ers were on the first time they won the Super Bowl with the Cinderella team with that Joe Burrow. But their offensive line is not going to handle the LA Rams defensive line. They're not. That's
some guy named Donald, I think, is a pretty good player. Yeah.
Yeah, the interior play. I mean, he's not going to be able to step up. You're going to see that, but the talent that LA has accumulated on the wide receivers, I mean, the skills positions is ridiculous. There's nobody else who's got it. The only thing is that the quarterback from Detroit, he gives the ball up a little bit at the end of the game. It's the Detroit way. He throws stuff up there he shouldn't go. So that's that's how they lost a lot of games with Detroit. So we got to see that. I mean, if the 49ers would have caught that interception, that thing would have been over. We would have been in the Super Bowl on Sunday. You got me fired up now.
I know. I know. Hey, Ricky, you take good care of yourself, and please stay in touch. And if there's anything we can do, and you can count on me calling Dan.
On Dan and get him going to get your bases defended up there. Let's get that happening.
I will do that. Listen, you have fun, and I'll be thinking of you on Sunday.
Okay. Go Niners.
Okay. Thanks, Ricky. You take care. All right. Bye-bye. All right, 3:15. We'll be right back.